The co-founders of 1047 Games recently came out on a live stream to talk about the recent decision to go back into beta for Splitgate 2 and what the future plans for this game are looking like. Talking about the changes they're looking to make to replicate Splitgate 1's experience, the timeline we can expect for the big relaunch of Splitgate 2, the cost of running Splitgate 1, and of course we have to discuss whether or not, even after all these major updates, can it even save the game? So if you want to know everything, make sure you stay tuned throughout the whole video to understand all the details. So to reiterate that this isn't just going to be an update. This is going to be a full rework of Splitgate 2, and it's officially going back into beta. But for how long? Well, the developer stated that it's going to be roughly 6 to 7 months, so they're aiming for a comeback around December to January, somewhere within that time frame. And the time between now and the relaunch, they're looking to do a ton of different play tests when it comes to Splitgate 2, and it's gonna be pretty much open to anybody who wants to actually jump in and play, which is gonna be really nice. They did state that ideally they're looking to do about a play test about once a month with the community to get the feedback and see what the changes and how the changes that they're making interact with the player base as a whole. Because we know a lot of times with the internet, talk is talk, but actions speak louder than words. So seeing how the community directly reacts and engages with these updates is going to be crucial to see what the future of Splitgate 2 holds for us. A lot of things they're looking to bring back are things like playlist selection, just like in Splitgate 1. Leaderboards coming back as well, especially for ranked experience, which is something that's crucial for that kind of playlist, you know. A linear battle pass with a challenge reward system. This has been one of the biggest issues with Splitgate 2, that the challenge system is just not triggering properly, which is holding back people's progression, leading to a really frustrating experience. So understandably, people just go, okay, I'll come back when the game is fixed. The post-game screen is getting reworked. They did mention that they like Splitgate 1's much better, so we should probably see some elements from Splitgate 1's post-screen being brought back into the game. They also mentioned that they wanted to bring in more portals, more portal jumps, especially inspired by maps like Bypass, which I would say is something that we definitely need to see a lot more of when it comes to Splitgate 2, because yeah, the portal walls are there pretty much wherever you go, but it seems so limited that it really kind of helps you just kind of go from where your line of sight is to another location. There really doesn't seem to be a whole lot of cool things you can do with the portals in Splitgate 2. It seems like a lot of the times it's just kind of a simple like extra little move you can make, rather than some gameplay changing type of move you can do to completely outflank somebody or outsmart your enemy. They also mentioned that custom maps from labs might be added in very soon, but much more in the way of having custom map playlists for people to jump in, because their Forge mode, or I think it's called labs, right, is the mode where you can actually make maps, but they might not be up to like the visual quality or standard you would expect for a standard playlist, unlike Halo's Forge, where you can kind of keep up with like dev quality maps. So it's gonna be see how we can like add some more experiences in there. I think some more like unique custom game type of experiences I think would be fun for much more casual type of experience for people just kind of jump in and experience it. Like, oh, that's a different type of mode that you can't really play anywhere else in any other shooter. That's one of the big elements that like Halo has on the rest of the shooter community out there, is that you're able to create such wild and crazy modes because of the forging that you have, the ability to let the community create experiences, and then having that being implemented into the game and matchmaking in some kind of form is a really unique experience you can't really have in any other shooter out there. Now we got some extra information about the future of Splitgate 1 and the reason why they're looking to shut it down and what they're looking to do with the game moving forward. They're not trying to just leave it all alone and just let it rot away. They're looking to at least give players some kind of way to continue playing the game if they want to at least have access to it in some kind of way. It's just going to take quite a bit amount of work. They did mention that Splitgate 1 with the server costs, it's roughly $40,000 to $50,000 per month. The CEO, Ian Prude, did say that that saves roughly 5 team members, and you'd say, I'd rather save 5 team members than keep Splitgate 1 servers open, which I totally agree with that as well. Like I pointed out in my previous video, Splitgate 1's population is pretty much non-existent now at this point, and so it's a real cost loss when it comes to keeping them up and running. And like we talked about earlier on the channel with the big push for Stop Killing Games, another live service online only game is getting killed, but this is in the way to maintain the franchise as a whole to keep playing. So I totally agree with the team at 1047 to shut down Splitgate 1 servers just to save some jobs on the current game right now, because that's the main focus. No one's really playing Splitgate 1. So I'd rather see people keep their jobs, because you also have to keep in mind that this is a self-published game, right? This isn't like Call of Duty or Halo. They don't have like EA, Microsoft type of money to just kind of throw at a game. They are, you gotta be able to make some tough decisions, and this is one of those tough decisions. But they did state that at minimum, they're looking to at least give players like a bot-only experience with Splitgate 1 after everything shuts down, just so people can have access to it and still play it. They say they would prefer to have like peer-to-peer as an option for people to play, but that's gonna be pretty difficult as they have to make it so then they have to change a lot of back-end code to be able to make it work. People have even said why not make it open source so people can just give the game out to the community, let them run wild with it. But they did state that there's some issues with that, as it's an entire backend would have to be ripped out because it is managed by a third-party company when it comes to Splitgate 1. So the team would have to completely take that out, rewrite their own code to be able to make it open source in that kind of way, so people can do peer-to-peer connections and things like that. It does sound like that might not really happen. I wouldn't expect it to happen, but I would love to see just some form of Splitgate 1 being still available out for people to enjoy. Especially since Splitgate 1 had microtransactions, people paid money for this game, and then they're just gonna end up just taking it away. Really hurts. But if you still want to play PvP Splitgate 1, it sounds like there still might be potential for you within Splitgate 2. The developers did state within this live stream that they are looking to make like a Splitgate 1 style permanent mode within Splitgate 2, which I think would be probably the most effective way to, if you still want to play Splitgate 1, play Splitgate 2 by just the Splitgate 1 playlist. My assumption is that that playlist would probably have a very low population because it's not the core experience of what they have for Splitgate 2, but at least you still have the option to play that classic type of arena Halo / Portal inspired experience. They even mentioned some things in passing saying like, we can remove factions if we wanted to. Like if the community wants it, we'll do it. Pretty much everything is on the table right now to make it so then people will enjoy playing Splitgate 2 and keep playing it. Which kind of leads me to my main question about Splitgate 2 and the future of this game and the studio as a whole. What will happen with this relaunch? As in, if you make all these changes like you just stated within this live stream and the official statement made across various platforms, is it going to be enough to bring people back to play the game? And it does sound like they are working with potential gameplay changes that would drastically change the experience to make it feel like a relaunch. I would say for Splitgate 2, if you just kind of fix things like making challenges work, add a leaderboard, and make some kind of back-end changes and things like that, and maybe add a map, maybe add a faction or something, I don't know if that's going to be enough to really bring people back into the game. I think just that the complete aura that they have for Splitgate 2 was like, we're doing FPS better than everybody else. But then what they ended up doing was releasing a pretty standard FPS besides the whole like game mechanics of adding portals and having Halo-like mechanics mixed in with Call of Duty and stuff like that. It kind of played out, even though it was unique enough, not too drastically different of an experience that we've had previously from other shooter games out there. And to add a Battle Royale mode, which is like their big feature mode, to just be kind of like, well, it's just a Battle Royale. We've playing Battle Royale since 2018. It's it's a rather congested market. The best of the best are pretty much the only ones that can survive within that sphere. To have a studio like 1047 Games going against the gigantic monoliths of like Epic Games with Fortnite, Call of Duty, with Warzone, Apex Legends even as well, and with the long running history those games have right now, it's very difficult, really high ask for people to jump over to your Battle Royale, which kind of just does the same type of stuff, but just with portals and a little bit extra movement. Especially with players just kind of sticking to games that they're already playing, they're not really jumping off to play new content. A recent report here kind of talks about how PC player gamers are playing older games more than ever, as in games that are like 5+ years old. Same PC gamers prefer older games. 67% of players' hours spent was spent on games that are 6 years or older, most of those being the big live service games out there. And I would say the way to implement these updates to Splitgate 1 is honestly hold it back from the community. Yeah, do these play tests or just like one-off, once a month kind of time-sensitive playlists to try out new things, to give a hint of what's coming next. But honestly, save all that and just wait till the relaunch and put that big update out that's going to hopefully be something that's going to be interesting. I feel like that strategy is going to be the best way to get interest back into Splitgate 2, because if you make these gradual changes over time, right, the news cycle is going to be on top of it. We're going to cover it here on the channel as well, that like once the official relaunch happens, it'll be more kind of just like a flip of the switch rather than a massive update that will get people interested in playing the game again. So my big suggestion for 1047 Games is just honestly, let Splitgate 2, let it be the area where you get a chance to play, test new things, but save all those updates to the big relaunch, right? You want to get people's interest and get people excited, but if you just kind of do these gradual updates, and over time the game will get good, but no one's gonna really care. This is what exactly happened with Halo Infinite, where they had to just gradually over time, over the course of the last 2 years effectively, release updates that are gradually fixing the game. But since it's such a slow process, right, and people are keeping up with it, it doesn't really get exciting when like, oh, hey, Forgers now have this new ability, but it drastically changes how people make maps. Or, hey, we changed the movement in Halo Infinite to feel better, which the movement update that they did for Halo Infinite was a massive improvement, and I really enjoyed it. But just that update alone is not going to get people interested to jump in to play the game. Do you have hopes for Splitgate 2 to resurge once again when it comes to people jumping back into playing? I hope so. I want to see studios like 1047 Games succeed. It's a really big hill they got to climb to get up there, man, but I really have the highest hopes for them. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, subscribe is always appreciated. Catch you on the next one. Peace out.